Welcome to the Glenn Taylor channel. So, you might be asking yourself, what's a Glenn Taylor channel? Well, a year ago, I started this YouTube journey, and I'm really kicking myself now because I'm starting a new channel, and that channel is based upon the fact that I should have been recording my process when I started my very first channel. So, and having made that mistake the first go around, I'm going to try to rewrite it now. This channel is basically going to speak to everything YouTube, the process, the learning, the doing, and everything in between, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because boy, YouTube is not that easy. Um, if you don't have any background in film or editing or anything of that nature, which I do not, um, and you want to start a channel, you are in for a surprise. Because yeah, there's a lot you got to learn. A lot you got to learn. Um, Fortunately, my first channel uh, has done decently. In my first year, I got 6,000 subs, and that's not bad, right? From first swing at the bat. I'm not monetized yet, but that's okay. I've learned a lot along the way, and I've come to find that YouTube is a great way. I suggest YouTube to anyone that wants to just grow in life because there's a lot you can learn from the process about yourself, you know, learn how to dig deep, learning how to be motivated all the time, learn how to, try new things, step out of your comfort zone, things like that. And man, it's definitely been that for me. Like I at the beginning didn't want my face involved, couldn't stand the way I sounded when I heard myself played back. Brutal. But over time you gain confidence and start to see that no one really cares about that sort of thing. You're your own worst critic. That's just a fact. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna speak to all that. I'm gonna speak to like the daily grind because that's what it is, right? Like the year I spent it's been a grind. It's been a grind, and with no guarantee of any payout or payoff, right? It's like it's a faith journey for sure, and yeah. So I want to speak today, basically about uh motivation, right? And when you're creating a YouTube channel, you have to really think about what you can sustain, right? Like what do you do, right? What do you enjoy? What can you speak to? What can you teach? What can you talk about? And can you sustain that, day in, day out in the creative process? And that means coming up with ideas and performing and all those things in between. And man, it can be difficult to continuously come up with ideas and I mean you get kind of a little bit annoyed at points in time because it's not going to go your way in the beginning, just so you know. It's just not, um, unless you have some sort of background in creating videos and stuff like that prior. You will fail. This is the guarantee. And then a lot of it is bouncing back from those continuous like hits and misses and hits and misses, and it's a lot more miss than it is hit. And eventually, you learn that that's just part of the process, and it's kind of a rite of passage as well. Um, and then you're gonna you're gonna watch a lot of gurus tell you a lot of things, and you're gonna try it their way and try it other ways and everywhere in between. And you'll find eventually that you need to decide what works for you, right? And follow that path because you know not every channel is a cookie cutter. Like no two are alike, and niches matter too. They're all different, right? Like if you're trying to do entertainment, just purely entertainment, and it's not really business oriented, that can be a lot more difficult than somebody that's talking about like you know, I don't know, uh, talking about their business or something like that, basically using YouTube as an advertisement for their business. So if you're getting into the entertainment side of things, be prepared for failure and be prepared for a long, heavy grind, right? And then, yeah, I mean, like I was saying before, finding your motivations and uh, and being able to maintain, you know, whatever niche you're choosing to get into is a big thing you're gonna have to think of when you're starting a YouTube channel, right? My first channel, I decided to go with faith-based niche, Christian niche. My other channel is Modern Testament Talks. I know they say don't mention your other channel, but I mean, I don't really care. So I'm going to do it anyways. And the reason I chose that is because I figured there's enough content out there, you know, Bibles and whatnot, and things that I could, you know, I could connect with my faith on a day-to-day basis, which I thought was cool, but also I could continuously draw on ideas and content because there's just so much out there. There's an embarrassment of riches, right? So I figured that's a sustainable niche for me. So this is the sort of things you got to think about, right? Even now, as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking like, how do I sustain this new YouTube channel, right? And this YouTube channel is going to be a bit different in the sense that I'm not going to just talk about what I'm talking about today. I'm going to change it up, and then some days I'm going to teach you some of the process, right? Because I kind of want to be all encompassing and hopefully breach the business side of things as well, right? You know, collaboration and all that, and then getting like ad deals, private ad deals, stuff like that. Like that seems cool to me. I don't know how I could have done that with my other channel, so this is going to be a part of that as well. I might do live streams and everything to connect with people and chat and all that sort of stuff, and we can talk YouTube. I mean, I'm totally game for that. Um, my wife was saying like every time you talk with people, you know, you're always talking about YouTube. It's something you talk about passionately, so it's like, okay, well, you know, this is something then I should probably follow through with, you know, and just put a camera on me and just go. And so that's what I'm doing. Anyways, kind of rambling a little bit. Don't really know what to say. um, a bunch of this will be edited, and I'm gonna make it all perfect. But um, yeah, I think there's a lot that the average person who's never done any of this is going to have to learn. It's a crash course. Of course, like I said, there's so many videos out there that can assist you on how to set up your channel and how to like the gurus telling you how to do this, how to do that, right? And that can all be very, very useful, and help you have a better chance than if you don't. So but I'm more than trying to act like a guru or anything. I just want to talk to the real aspect of it. You know, like YouTube is not easy, and the reality is like if you don't have a video that can retain people or they're interested in or even want to hear you talk about, then you know you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna have a hard time. So yeah, I mean, being engaging is another thing, right? Um, I can't wait to get to episodes down the road when I talk about the cringy things that I've made because just so you know, when you're starting a channel, you are going to create some cringe, some real cringe. Like you're gonna shudder, shudder. Um, so that's something to look forward to. We'll play some of my early blunders from my first channel, you know, just because it'll be funny. Um, and maybe find others out there. And who knows, down the road, maybe have people to submit some of their stuff to me so that we can talk about it and learn from it, most of all, and have a laugh at the same time. Anyways, that's in the future. I'm just kind of thinking about what this channel can be. I don't really know. Like, I want it to be an ever evolving thing, and more than anything, a community, because you know the everyone that does content creation, I'm sure, can relate to everything that I might broach, everything I might talk about. Um, and I mean, there's camaraderie in that, and it'll be like our own personal little self-help group for creators anonymous or something like that. Anyways, I look forward to it. It's going to be a fun adventure. um because yeah, the goal for any channel, I imagine, would be, you know, 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours, right? Like, isn't that like the idea? So that was the concept for this. It's like, well, let's see how I do the second time around with a completely different niche, and hoping to prayer that it works out. And I think the main thing is like, not only can I put out videos to do with video creation, but then I can pick them apart after and see why they didn't work, go into the algorithm, check metrics and all those things, and like really dig into how you know, YouTube works. Because I will say this about my first channel, I haven't really done the inner working, like, homework that I can really go in and say, okay, this is working and this is what I need to improve on. Like, I haven't done enough of that, and I think this would be the perfect time to start doing that. But doing that with other people that can lend a couple cents themselves, and you know, because I'd love to hear from people that maybe are ahead of me in certain respects, because I'm, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that are far ahead, and worlds away in terms of skill and ability, and honestly, bring it on. That's awesome, because that's, you know, how else do you learn? So yeah, the channel is going to be all that and a bunch of other things. You know, I don't know. I'm just trying to like ramble off things as they come to my mind. But yeah, uh, I think it'll be a fun channel. I don't, like I said, I don't want it to be one dimensional or two dimensional. I want it to be all sorts. And so, yeah, let's make it happen. So, yeah, this is the Glenn Taylor channel. And thanks for stopping by. And maybe tomorrow or something, we could like do a thing. You want to do a thing? We can do a thing. So, yeah, you should like, yeah, you should join me. Anyways, goodbye. Okay, so moving right along, um, I want to really talk about, you know, your. What I'm going to talk about now is the expectation that you might have versus the reality of when you start a YouTube channel, because you're gonna come to some realizations sooner rather than later. Um, and honestly, this isn't, you know, I'm not trying to motivate or nothing like that. I'm just trying to give some clarity and some understanding to people that think like you're going to make a ton of money right off the bat or anything like that, or that you're going to be famous from this or whatever. If you're getting into it for those reasons alone, then you're gonna be in for a surprise. Um, so a lot of people wonder, is it a good time to start a YouTube channel? Is YouTube already too saturated? Do I need to be an expert before I start? Things like that. I don't think that any of that is true. I think that if you're starting for the right reasons, um, for creativity and for purpose in your life, like myself, um, and not just for money and fame, you know, but actually trying to impact things a little bit, or at least leave your stamp, um, on planet Earth, which is kind of like, you know, I think anyone's goal while we're here, uh, is to leave some sort of, you know, proof of life, evidence that we were, you know, here and we did a thing. So you should know that your reasons for starting a channel matter, right? more so than the niche that you pick, right? It's you know, because there's going to be points in time where your motivation fades, right? I've experienced it most recently too, right? After a big rush of subscribership and stuff like that, like, you begin to be really tied up to your algorithm and what's happening on your channel, right? And so motivation will fade when you take the odd hit here and there. And it happens, right? But the point is to be ever improving and ever striving. So um you know there's nothing wrong with wanting to make money on YouTube, but if that is your only goal, and not to learn or to and to because it creates character, right? More than like I that's my experience in the last year is I went from a dark place to having something to pick myself up and do and work at every single day. And if you don't have something like that in your life, then doing something on like YouTube is a great little, um, great way to add purpose and direction in your day-to-day life, right? I mean, it, uh, even if you have no experience, right? That's the whole thing, is like you're starting out fresh in something, and the possibilities are endless. It's just how much effort do you want to put in? And um, you know, there's going to be times where you're going to think you're an imposter, or that you don't belong, or you're just not that great, or that you don't even want to put your face out there, or because there's faceless YouTube, and then there's people that are their brand and things like that. And so you're gonna come through the bumps in the road where you're trying to figure out, how, and you should probably figure it out right away. Should I be the face of this channel, or am I going to not use my face or my voice or anything like that? Like, these are things you have to decide early on when creating a channel, right? And so I mean that's directly tied with the niche that you're going into and really what you're aiming to do. So um these are all just like kind of random thoughts, but thoughts that, are going to occur for you when you start a channel. And so I'm just here to say, like, be prepared for a lot of the things that I'm about to talk about. Like, when you start out, the quality of what you create is not going to be great, right? And I was talking earlier about the cringe factor, and that's what I'm kind of pointing at, is like, I think you should know that everyone starts out awkward, right? You could check out Mr. Beast, you can see, like, just awkward, super awkward, and that's okay. That shows that there's evidence that everyone starts somewhere, and that there's nothing to be ashamed of in that regard. Something that I still struggle with to this day is getting in front of a camera and speaking, right? But you just got to understand one major thing: no one really cares, right? Most of you people don't know me. I'd say no one knows me, so why should I care what you think, what a troll says, whatever, right? Just, you got to there's those things you got to really realize. You have to check that at the door if you want to approach YouTube and have any sort of success in it. So there's that. um, you're not going to be confident right away, but confidence will come after the repetition, after just, you know, improving, trying, failing, improving, trying, failing, improving, failing upwards, I say, right? Um, and there's going to be times when, you're going to ask yourself, like, and I'll address it right now, like, what is it about me that I can't stand to look at when I see my face on camera? Like, what is that? So, like, that's something to work through internally. So that's something you're going to face along the way. Um, you'll probably question, like, am I do I sound boring? Do I sound awkward? Is any of this landing? And in the beginning, you're not going to get enough views to really know or have an understanding of whether or not that's a truth or not, right? But as time goes on, and as you get pushed further and further, and as you grow, right, you will have those answers as time goes on. Don't expect them right away, because there's just not enough information off the hop They're not going to push you far enough for you to get true guiding information. So, um, and and don't wait to post, and like, don't create this. I did this in the beginning. I created like a batch of 30 things before I ever posted anything, and I should have been posting them one at a time, because then I could have gotten incremental growth out of each one. So that's the thing you got to realize, is just post, and then see what worked, what didn't, and improve, right? So that's the thing I got to stress, is constant improvement, right? Because if you don't, you're just going to stay stagnant the entire time. um, and you'll get more confident the more you do it, right? um, like, I don't know that there's an actual time frame in which you're going to feel natural or comfortable on camera, if at all. But there are other options. You don't necessarily have to put your face out there or your voice. There's a lot of AI stuff out there now that can really help with the creation process. That's how I initially started. And there's a lot of great softwares that I had to learn and put into use, but that helped with learning a lot about YouTube, right? So it's not necessarily a bad thing if you're not doing your face. You're gonna be forced to learn other tools, but those will help you also grow in your editing skills and everything else. And so, um there are multiple ways to go on YouTube. Yeah, so I want to talk about real expectations, right? You know, like, good content equals views, essentially, right? And YouTube doesn't reward effort; it rewards your understanding, okay, of what they're looking for, right? And how you match what YouTube likes to put out versus things that you like to put out. And I struggle with that a lot, which was just like things I wanted to make versus what actually works, right? And great content, can still go unseen. So, you'll have a lot of questions like, why is no one watching my videos? Is YouTube suppressing my channel? No. How long should it take before I get views? And then there's the whole question about, does YouTube even push small channels? And people are less likely to choose videos that have small subscribership. That's just like a social, that's just kind of social proofing, right? Like, if you're a higher subscriber count, right? Far more likely to get a click than if you're just brand new and pretty green, right? So that's just an obvious, like 1 + 1 = 2. That's an obvious thing. We can understand that, right? So just know that in the early stages it's going to be slow going, but once you find your rhythm and you find what is working or what's getting traction, you follow that and you start to break that down, right? That's key. Is like, for me, I was on my other channel, NPT, was uh certain types of shorts that I was using, like AI imagery and stuff like that, with my own scripting and all that, and then AI voiceover. And I found something that worked and resonated with people, and that was, and so and that pushed me for. So I found something that worked, and I followed through with it. And every time that I've tweaked and it's shown that it hasn't worked, you have to get back to what was working, right? So that's the thing to know as well. Follow what works. It's okay to experiment, but sometimes, uh, too much experiment, not so great for channel's progress, right? So, um, you know, you just understand that you need to be very consistent in YouTube. Okay, that's the main thing. You know, it's not magic to be consistent, right? Like, the difference between constant posting and consistent improvement is just, you got to know, learning is a part of the job. Break down, analyze, redo. You know, in that sort of order. Um, and you got to find a rate of posting and stuff like that that fits your schedule. If you've got a job or whatever, and this is just like a side hustle, you got to make sure that it's something you can sustain moving forward. All right. So you got to think about that. Also, like a niche that you're interested in or something that you're interested in talking about that you think you could talk about and sustain for years at a time. And that's a pretty hard question. That in of itself is a real root of what you're going to do with your channel. So that's like, I can't stress that enough. You really need to dig deep on the whole thinking about what your channel is going to be about and can it be sustained. Um, and I would have to say that quality is probably better over quantity. So that's just my personal opinion, you know. If you're doing a lot but you're not ever improving, obviously, you know, you're gonna have a bad time, right? So, um, every video should do a little bit better. You know, there's going to be a lot of questions along the way. You'll ask yourself, "Oh man, did I ruin my channel? Should I delete my bad videos? Does one bad video hurt my future videos?" Like, there's a lot of things and a lot of things you'll have to dispel along the way, and we'll talk all about that on on the channel. So it's a mental game a lot of the time, and no one prepares you for that mental game. Okay, you're going to compare a lot, and that's going to be discouraging. You're going to get a lot of discouragement when videos don't hit, and when you don't know where to go and your motivation is lacking. You know, you will feel like an imposter. Like, there will be imposter syndrome. You will burn out. This is a guarantee. Man, I burnt out so many times, and like, it's really hard. You got to dig deep, right? So there's a lot of growth that can happen too from, that's what I'm saying, like, starting a YouTube channel, you know, regardless if it even worked out, I am a better person than I was last year because of the perseverance and everything else that is you're called to 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 produce in order to make a channel work, especially when you have no background in any of it, right? So, um, yeah, I mean, don't compare your channel to others, because if you're just starting out, you just can't, right? Be true to you and what your goals are. And you're going to feel like maybe you're not cut out for it at points in time. I felt that many times. You gotta carry on, dredge on. You have to. Um, if you stop producing, there it is, right? That's just it. So what does that mean? It's consistency. That's what it is, and constant growth and tweaking along the way. Um, yeah. So if you're at the beginning stages of trying to figure out what your niche is, or you've started but you haven't quite landed on what you're trying to, create, you can change stuff in the beginning when you don't have subscribership and you don't have people that are loyal. But as time goes on, you have to kind of hold your ground on the route you're going, right? And yeah, because eventually that can hurt your channel and all that. And so we can talk about that down the road. We won't get too far into that right now. Um, but I want to define for you what success looks like early on, and that is learning. Okay, you're going to learn, which is great. Improving your retention, because that's everything, right? Learning how to clearly communicate. Um, your confidence on camera if you're choosing to be on camera, and enjoy every small win, because you know they happen, and they are enough to sustain you. So, um the fact that anyone takes time and might watch something that you do, for me personally, is cool. It's very cool, because it's like, oh, I made a thing, and people commented and they liked it, and that's that you know that in itself is like a form of payment, right? So if you're doing it for those reasons, those are good reasons, right? um so I now want to talk about advice that I wish I had on day one. um start before you feel ready. Just dig in there, get in there, right? Um, learn one skill at a time and try to apply it, you know, expect slow growth. Um, you know, yeah, you got to learn to detach your identity from analytics. Like, don't take them personally. It's just numbers and things like that. So that was a big one for me because it's like, oh, it's personal, right? They don't like me. And just fall in love with the process because that will make things a lot easier on you. And yeah, I think you know if you're just beginning YouTube, um, fear and uncertainty and discouragement uh, is commonplace. So don't feel like that's a like disqualifying feature because it's not. Everyone goes through it. I think it's a rite of passage actually. And if you're getting ready to or you haven't, I just say this: what is stopping you from starting right now or continuing if you had started and stopped because you had the cold feet syndrome thing, right? Well, that's what I've got for this episode. Anyways, uh catch you next time. Okay, check you later. Bye now.